All right, guys, what's going on tonight? We are doing a test, and I told y'all I'm about to bust this show wide open and we about to go ham, but I need y'all help to make sure I got these settings right. And I tried to do it on my own, but it makes no sense. So, can you hear me right now as I am speaking to you? Am I clear? Give me a one if you can hear me in the chat. Uh oh. I don't see nobody responding. I don't think nobody can hear me. Can you hear me talking? Okay, so y'all can hear me talking. I'm loud. My bad. All right. So next test. So we have our music. We have our straight up average voice. Somebody call the number for me real quick. It's 504-354-0143. And let's see if we're going to get the audio sound of someone calling in, which I'm pretty sure that works, but let's try it anyway. Anybody? Somebody? Just call and say hey. It's no big deal. If you want to talk, I'll talk. You know what I'm saying? Yo, this DW. Can you hear me?
I can. What's up, DW? Mad Dog Morgan.
What's up, Mad Dog? What's been happening with you, baby?
Just trying to make it, working on the railroad, taking care of the family.
How's the family doing? Everybody doing well?
Oh, yeah. Smudgy Mommy's doing good. Keep me up to date with you and Sean and everybody.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. The job is, they're not doing no crazy stuff on the job, huh? Giving me ultimatums and nothing like that, are they?
Oh, yeah. That's what she tried to put a comment on for you, but I wanted to let you guys know. So they put the mandate out. The deadline's December 8th. They have medical and religious exemptions, but so far I haven't heard anybody getting accommodations for that. But right now, I know the railroad told the federal government if 3% don't take it, they won't be able to run trains. But with the union, everyone talking, we're looking at more like 30%.
Jesus. 30% of the people?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that means
that's
some
right.
shit come grinding to a halt, baby.
Oh, yeah. If that happens, man, the economy's done. The shelves are already empty. It will be to a stop. But I know the unions just filed a lawsuit in federal court because since we're union, it changes working conditions, so it has to be negotiated.
Yeah, that's happening a lot of places. Which that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, we should get an exemption. The majority of guys are smart enough, even if they're, on the left and how do I say, for Amtrak, Joe, whatever you want to say, the majority of them understand it's not right to tell somebody to put something in their body.
Oh, that's cool. What else been going on with the family? Y'all ain't been on no vacations, nothing like that?
Oh hell no, man. We just moved over here to Utah a couple years ago, and just making ends meet and stuff like that. So trying to get together. My 7-year-old had meningitis, but he toughed through that, and they're all doing good now. So just trying to get ready for Halloween.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Halloween. I don't really mess with it, but I just found out that my goddaughters, or all my god kids, I have four god kids from Texas. I got a lot of god children. But four god kids from Texas are going to be coming to Louisiana. They're going to be staying with me. And normally I can't stand Halloween, but I love hanging out with the kids. And so I'm going to have fun taking them trick or treating and getting beat up. And you know how kids are. They beat you down and fight and wrestle. I love that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. My 7-year-old wants to dress up and wants me to be God of War when he beats a kid. And they got all kinds of crazy ideas, but they love it. They have a good time. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too that how he got meningitis. The children's primary here in Salt Lake is rated top of the nation. They said he got it from the chickenpox vaccination.
I can believe it. I can
Yeah,
definitely believe it. I can definitely believe it. Um,
yeah.
so everybody, can you guys hear us both clear right now? Give me a one in that chat if you can hear us clearly. Because if that's the case, then we are off and running, and we might just keep it moving right now because it's working, and I might be able to play a little something, something. But I need y'all to respond and give me a one. Man, you
I've
you
been
guys
wanting
been
to
with
call you.
Huh?
I said I've been wanting to call you because me and my old lady, we seen some weird crap up in the sky a few times. So I don't know. We can do that another time. It don't have to do with
Oh,
Dogman, but
you
I've
can
been
tell
wanting to
me
call you
about it. I
and tell
mean,
you
unless
about
you
it.
want to talk about it privately.
No, it's nothing that was traumatizing to us. It was just weird as shit.
What
But
was it?
we were. Oh, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it real quick. Best of my memory. Shit, it was about 12 years ago, I think, because my daughter's 14 and she was young, and we were up in Caliente and Pioche hunting because we used to live in Las Vegas where I was born and raised. Anyway, I was taking her out spotlighting. Teach her how to kill and shoot rabbits and stuff. And she's shining the spotlight in the sky, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to look for eyes." And she's like, "Oh, there's a firefly." And I said, "There ain't no fireflies in this high desert." So we looked over, and it looked like a ball that was a mixture of orange and red, right? But it would disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear. And I was like, "Oh man, that's like something weird, like a UFO or something." And then it was weird. Right after that, a car pulled up behind us with the lights off, just to have the running lights on, which could have been some kids or something. But that was weird. But we didn't give a shit. We were armed up to the teeth. But anyway, we get back to camp, and that same light's dancing around the sky, just disappearing, reappearing, and shit. And I'm yelling at my brother to get the video camera, but he was being dumb. I don't know what the hell he was doing. But the next thing you know, we were in like a big valley, and I'd say, oh God, I don't know. We'll say 5 miles, give or take. That you can see the mountain, and then above the mountain, that same style of the ball lit up, and it went like uh almost like an afterburner, one at a time, but would light up and fade like do 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 in a huge circle, the same size of the mountain, and disappeared. And then about 3 or 5 minutes after that, two jets flew overhead towards it.
Oh,
That's what I remember, man. And
that sounds like some
like I
straight
said,
up UFO stuff, and they went to chase that bad boy down, man.
that's what kind of sealed the deal for us. And I mean, that's in the same Area 51, area, like the back side of it or whatever. But that thing was huge. It was crazy. So, you know, I wanted to let you know about that. Of
How
course, I
long
was
ago
teasing
was
my
that
wife.
again?
That was about 12 years ago. 'Cause my oldest is 14. She was about 1 or 2. So,
Did you
it
see
might
the
have even been
footage?
longer.
Did you see the footage of that aircraft that they had on the back of like a flatbed truck that came out, and it looked like that bitch was clearly an aircraft of some type, but it didn't have no propulsion to it whatsoever, with no rockets, no nothing on it. It was jet black. Did you see that one?
I did not.
I just find it funny when stuff like that pops up because I knew how secretive the government was when I was working on it, and all we had was Scud missiles and reverse engineering Predator drone, or reverse engineering those guidance systems to create the Predator drone guidance system, and they were so secretive. I just found it weird that that photo would leak out like that. I think people are disclosing stuff to us in their own way and letting us know what we have and
Mm.
what we don't have. I wouldn't put it past our government to have some really wacky type tech that they're just not sharing with us, man.
Oh, absolutely. I think from movies to the information now, they're just programming people to be more acceptable when something crazy happens. You know.
No, I think so, man. You guys been with me for a long time, bro. I appreciate y'all.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. And like I told you and John B, man, we feel like PR people because I keep telling every motherfucker I know you need to listen to this shit. You know,
I appreciate you, man.
you get stuck in a locomotive for 12 hours or 15 hours, man. You talk about all kinds of stuff. I even be busting out stories for them, man. Like this dude's the best. DW is the best. You ain't gonna see no one else, man. Puts you right there like a movie.
Yeah, I got some. I recorded 28 stories today. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, recorded 28. Um, 16 went to the editor so he can edit out the mistakes and then send it back to me raw. Tomorrow I'm recording another 15. Sunday I'm recording another 12. Majority of that is members content. It's one Dogman album. It's the rest of Unk. So it's a lot of stuff about to hit. I just had to get through that whole hurricane, then no power, then getting it together, then people being murdered. Man, it's been crazy. So I got through that, and so now we're back on track. And this show is going. I'm going to start, pulling up photos. I'm going to start going through, video of Dogman that people find, and we're going to really dig into talking about Dogman over here. So I'm glad you called in. Anything else you want to share? Remember, while I got you on the phone, what's your thoughts on Dogman? Where do you think they come from?
Oh, it's I'm gonna go. I'm a God fearing man, so I'm gonna go from the old world that they come from there, almost like Bigfoot. Because of course I don't know for sure. I have my own theory, like from the Nephilim. I think that the Bigfoot's an offspring from the Nephilim.
Right.
With especially with David Paulides found a scientist to push the bar when they did the DNA, and he said they found 110 samples that were given to them from DNA, flesh, blood, hair, what have you, and they had four PhDs write four white papers on it, and they were about to let it go, and it went away. So I think that dogmen come from the same thing, since Alexander the Great and the Persians even wrote in history that they traded with them because they were so fierce in war. So I don't know exactly like how it goes, but I know it comes, in my opinion, from the old world. The legitimate flesh and blood ones, not those crazy stories people are talking about, all that weird crap. But the flesh and blood dogman to me is the old school, come from the old world. And even like the Egyptians, I try to explain to people the writings and the people on the wall with dog heads. I was like, that shit wasn't no helmet or nothing. They were mixing DNA, just like we are now with the Chimera. You need to just open your mind and accept it and do your research, and it's right there in front of your face. But of course, I'm called a conspiracy theorist, and I said, no, 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 I'm a conspiracy realist, man. So, but
Now that's
I
the
think
most
it's old
interesting
world.
thing, bro. Like I talk to people all the time, and when I have friends who I've disclosed things to that I know to be absolutely true. I mean, absolutely true. And they will sit there and say, "Man, that's conspiracy theory," and I'd be like, "Dude, you live in the world where now there's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. Like, are you retarded? Like, there's how can you even use that phrase when you see everything that's going on around you? Like, it makes no sense that you would even try to use that phrase." And then they get to the point where like, man, you got a point there. Things are going crazy. I'm like, yeah. How can you even think about conspiracy theory when who would have ever thought, 10 years ago that we'd be in a situation like we in today? Like that blew everything out of the water. So it's amazing.
Oh, that's
People don't want their context to bend, and they want to make sure, they understand. Like they want to be comfortable in their own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Um,
absolutely. Yep. That's what I say. Is they're comfortable in their little world, and they're happy, and they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to accept that we don't know shit. And unless you do research, because I don't like to be lied to, I want to know everything. I want to know. I want to have a plan or a reaction to whatever situation comes, because I got a family to take care of. Like where we live now is in northern Utah, about 45 minutes from the Idaho border. And I found a guy that wrote a book actually about Bigfoot up here, and he can give you locations and stuff. But I haven't heard anything about Dogman in this area.
and where is
Your
it in
map
Utah? You
you,
said.
yeah, we're in Logan, Utah. It's by Utah State University. That's where I'm at. I got to drive down to Ogden for work on the railroad, but we ended up here, and we love it. It's beautiful and everything like that. But your map had some that Dogman map you showed, like I think it was the migration map.
Right.
uh, yeah, I think you had some up in Idaho, but nothing for this area. But like this area has, I believe, more cave systems than any other place in Utah, and the woods are thick, man. And if one's here, I'm sure the other one is. But we go out. I don't go exploring and stuff like that with the family, but we still go out and play in the woods, do our thing. We're not afraid, because I've been, as long as I've been with you, I've also been following Paulides about the 411 missing people. I even went and looked for a missing kid when we used to live in northern Nevada and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, as far as the sightings and stuff, when I bring Dogman up too, people, Yeah, they have a hard time even talking about Bigfoot, let alone a werewolf that will rip your head off. So
Yeah, but I don't think, from what I'm seeing right now, bro, I don't think people are going to have much more time where they can deny what's going on around them. You know, a lot of people like to bury their heads in the sand. They don't want to pay attention to anything. Um, they don't have the discernment of God. That's why they get caught up in all kind of foolishness, and they definitely don't follow
hmm
their gut instincts. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Like the next set of stories that I'm gonna drop, you guys gonna freak completely out by some of the stuff that's coming out and people are seeing. And I just think people have ran out of time when it comes as it pertains to just being blind and stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like it used to be no consequence for being stupid. Now there's a consequence for stupidity. And there's a physical consequence right now, and also there's a spiritual consequence. And then when we start talking about these cryptids, the sightings are up, and it's not just freaking Dogman. It's all kind of wicked stuff that, like, man, it's crazy. The stuff that people are calling me with. So we're going to definitely get into that. We're going to get into that. I'm going to let you go and see if I can get another call in here
all right,
and
man.
test the audio. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I'll try to get a hold of you again later if I find anything else, and I'll let you know about the railroad. What's going to happen?
All right, sounds good. Good talking to you. Great talking to you.
All right, bye. See you.
All right, so that is working. And that is working well, baby. That is working. That is working well. I'll take another call. Yo,
Um,
hello.
what are you doing?
Nothing much. Just taking calls. What's happening with you? You got everything up and running?
I have got one little issue, and I've got to go get an adapter. And that's what I was calling in to let everybody know. Tomorrow, about lunchtime, we will have a camera backup on Dogman cams, and it is going to be here at my place, where everybody has seen the videos that Sean put up that's back there. They haven't got to hear it, but you got to hear it the other day whenever I pulled up, and all of a sudden it screamed. You was like, "Who's killing that lady?"
Yeah, that shit was crazy, dude. It sounded like somebody been literally being murdered. I was like, man, who's dying back there?
So they're gonna get they're gonna get a fun taste for that. Yeah, I got the wrong freak. It's my fault. I got everything else up and going. I just got to get it fixed where I can get it out there where I want it. So,
Oh,
but
power wise, huh?
yeah, where I was gonna hook in at won't work because I did not realize they had done. Dude, I almost screwed up big time. Somebody in this house, because I never used that plug-in, they turned a 110 plug-in into a 220.
Oh, you about to kill yourself?
Yeah, well, no, I just wouldn't. I just something told me test that because I never had used it before, and like I said, I done plugged in the damn extension cord and was fixing to hook a camera to it. We was really fixing to get some video because I was fixing to put a 110 camera on a 220. But yeah, I don't know what Dodo did that, but they wired in a regular plug-in on 220. It's going to be fixed tomorrow. I just got to get the damn a regular plug-in because the way they did the plug-in, I don't trust that. So I'm going to change it.
Oh hell yeah, you want to
But
change that?
well, dude, we got 132 people in here. Where the hell are all them damn light buttons? They ain't for 49 damn likes. And if you go over to, I think I got it still. Hold on. Let me see if it'll paste in the. What the hell is this shit? Y'all got to bear with me because I have I built a new computer and uh, studio, and Lakea's been about ready to kill me. But I started a Teespring store because everybody's been wanting. When can I get a vault shirt? When can I get that? There's a link in the chat right there. If you go to my channel in the About section, there's a link there. That's the first addition to the stuff that's in a Teespring store. Go have crazy, whatever. Uh, now people will leave me alone about that. Jameson did. I mean, God dang, what the hell is that fellow's name? I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, Cobra and another guy helped me set that up. And like I said, none of us knew what the fuck we were doing. So,
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. You got at least you got it done. When are you gonna start doing stuff on your channel again? You setting up? When are you gonna do your first show?
probably tomorrow night, whenever Sean goes off.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
That's good. That's gonna be late. Sean goes off about what 9?
no, me, I work better in the wee hours in the morning. It's funner to me. That's when all the good creepy crawlers come out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh, well, man, I like this. I like hearing you live again. Man, hell yeah.
Oh, you
I'm
best
sure
believe it.
everybody else. But I'm in the studio now, and I just called in on my phone. I've actually got the chat and everything up on my big screen. Did I send you a picture of what I did to that damn little monitor, and I didn't realize I did it? I busted it.
Mm-mm. The one that was on the
Yeah,
left hand side of that big screen.
yeah. It busted, big time busted. I don't know how it happened or whatever. Apparently, it didn't take much to do it, but it makes pretty artwork now. But that's about all it's good for. So now,
It's a big ass
uh,
paperweight, is all it is.
well, I'll have to send. I tell you what. Hold on one second. I'll see you when you see it. You're gonna be like, "How the hell did you do that, dude?" I don't know. Look, I hooked it up, uh, done everything, and turned it on, and turned around, and was doing something else. And I turned back on. I was like, "Oh shit!" I just sent you a picture of it, and I said, it's toast."
Yeah, that is toast. I
Uh,
saw that earlier though.
yeah, it's toast.
Man, what the
So
hell?
I gotta get me another monitor so I can add to this. That way, I can do the things I want, like share the videos and stuff like that, like I want to do.
I'm
That's
hoping
my
this
only.
mute
I
button
can do
work.
it.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I can. I said I can do it now, but I don't like. I don't like showing all the stuff I got on my screen, and then with a second monitor, it just makes it easy. You dedicate that monitor as your screen share.
No, that's smart. People in the
uh,
chat saying you got a misspelling on one of your T-shirts. You got to go check that out.
Dude, I probably do because like there was three of us doing it, and I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to doing all that stuff. But I will go check that out. I'm sorry. Hey, well, if you order it, then you gotta oof. I'll go fix that. I don't know how that happened, but
That's how it goes down. Well, I'm gonna let you go and try and take me another call. Also, I want to address something with my girl Sunshine that's in the chat because somebody tried to do something. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna holler back at you.
all right, man.
All
Y'all
right.
have fun.
All right, later, guys. So I already dealt with this, but my moderator in the chat, Sunshine. Sunshine has been a moderator with us for shit. It's been over 2 years. And the last time we was on, I kind of go back and forth with her all the time, be flirting or whatever. I made a comment about Sunshine's lips. Now, she's a beautiful woman. We talk. She's cool. But somehow, some way, this group of trolls came in, and I thought it was absolutely amazing that they decided to try and take my comments about her beautiful, luscious lips and turn it into something derogatory. And I just thought it was amazing. And for the record, because I know y'all still here, I've told y'all I have the back end program where I can see who's in the chat. Like, dude, just because you motherfuckers grew up in an environment where, number one, you never laughed and joked and ribbed anybody. Number two, because you've never been around a beautiful woman and have no idea what flirting is, don't mean that I'm foul mouthed or messed up. So, y'all fools need to get it together. I'm not the dude to troll. It don't work out well for no fucking body that troll me. It has never worked out well for anybody who trolls me. So I welcome you to do it. I'm just telling you, you're going to get what you give. You know what I'm saying? Period. You're going to get what you give. And Shorty is a 10. Intelligent, beautiful, and cool as hell. So, and me and her ain't got no problems. So, it don't work. Like, the bullshit that y'all do doesn't work with me because I'm a person that's willing to talk to people. Like, that shit works for people who are afraid to talk to other people. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you're a 12, babe. I'm sorry. You'll be a 12 then. That shit works when people are afraid to talk to people. Like right now, and this is what I find amazing. 504-354-0143. The number is there. But you rather play like internet games and say shit instead of holler at me. That's the crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy shit. Okay, so let's get another call in here. Since it's working. Wait. Let's try this. I'm going to try and see if this story works. You're welcome for the compliments, sweetheart. One of these days, I'm going to tell your Dogman stuff, but we got a little bit more talking to do. Let's see. Oh, for the record, this is not Dogman. This was just the first file I could find, but it's still good. You'll enjoy it.
A network of tunnels created by Islamic State on the outskirts of Mosul, Iraq, have been uncovered by Kurdish forces advancing towards the city. According to the Associated Press, the cramped living quarters show an extremist group increasingly forced to operate underground by a punishing air campaign and mounting territorial losses. The tunnels were found in Badana, a farming village east of the city. Kurdish troops reclaimed Badana as part of a push by a diverse coalition of Iraqi forces to retake Mosul, which has been held by Islamic State for 2 years and remains the group's last major bastion in Iraq. The coalition made strong gains on the first day of the operation, but most of the reclaimed villages were largely empty of civilians, much like Badana. After slower progress on Tuesday, with Iraqi forces on front lines still miles outside of the city, troops were ordered on Wednesday to pause their advances for 48 hours. Commanders said they wanted to coordinate their offensive. As the operation continued, people were seen fleeing the city and surrounding villages. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs estimated that up to 200,000 people could be displaced within the first 2 weeks of the operation, adding that several 100,000 could be in need of shelter assistance.
Iraq, 2016. Please understand there are things I can and cannot share with you about this encounter. So it's important that you read between the lines on some of these things. Special Forces. During my deployment to Iraq under President Trump, we were given orders to decimate ISIS. A welcome order. Because unless you've seen what these monsters are capable of, you have no clue what our nation is up against. Now Google this. Iraq Army confiscates ISIS largest tunnel digging machine. It's just a blurb in the news, but the fight to take over those tunnels and their equipment was vicious and bloody. Part of that fight took place underground, and it was there underground that not only did my team and I encounter ISIS, but something else. Something so crazy that when we turned in our mission briefings, there was some information taken out. And then we were interviewed via camera about what we saw. Now, the craziest thing of all is even though I sat there for over 2 hours being questioned about the encounter, I still to this day have no clue who the fuck I was talking to. Listen, I knew they were military intelligence, but only God knows what branch of military intelligence they were. But they seem familiar with these things. Anyway, back to my story. So we're there in Iraq, CQB, some of the worst CQB I've ever been in. We get inside this building, we clear every floor, at least we thought, till we head into the basement and find there's a tunnel. You can hear voices in the distance. We knew it was ISIS down there, couldn't be anybody else.
But what we didn't know was that we all were in for a surprise. Entering the tunnel, it was dark, narrow, about 5 feet wide, 6 feet in height. We moved slowly for over 300 meters and found an entrance to another building, cleared it, and proceeded to move again through the tunnels. I can only guess how long we had been moving this time, 600-700 meters, before we started to see these carvings on the walls. I wouldn't call them hieroglyphs, but just carvings. You could tell they were old, really old, on both sides of the wall. And again, we start hearing voices. Holding for a moment to see if they were heading our direction, the voices went from talking calmly to this panicked tone. And quickly we realized the shooting was not coming in our direction. Moving forward, we found where they had broken a hole into one of those walls, right on top of one of the carvings. Inside, a set of steps. Moving down those steps again, we hear screaming and shooting. And after we moved about 100 to 150 steps, underground, at the bottom, it opened up into this chamber. A stash of weapons, lights, RPG ammunition, IEDs, you name it, they had it down there in this chamber. And that's when we see 10 ragheads on the back side of that chamber shooting at the walls. And I mean letting loose on what looked at the moment just like a wall with all these markings on it. That was until, and I know this is going to sound crazy as fuck, we saw it. It looked like the wall itself came alive, his upper half of the body penetrating the wall, his legs hanging out, shaking, blood gushing and running everywhere. Now, we stood stacked up right there at that entrance and watched this happen 4 more times. One yanked into the ceiling, the other yanked into the floor, 2 more yanked into the wall. Standing there looking at it, I'm like, nope, this shit is not a part of the scope of our mission. So I signaled the team to slowly start heading back up the steps. And as we're turning, heading back up those steps, I get to see this face. I see this face appearing out of the wall. This face of a beautiful woman. I mean, amazingly beautiful. Then you can see a neck and a collarbone. She was literally walking out of the wall. Then these wings start to protrude from the wall. And I'm like, what the fuck? I can hear her talking, saying, come further in. Come closer. I won't hurt you. Come closer. Just as I'm falling under her spell, I get a tap on my shoulder from Ryan, saying, what the fuck are you doing? Get clear, let's go. He literally grabs me by my shoulders and starts pulling me back up the steps. When I get back upstairs into the main tunnel, they have laid enough explosives to collapse not only that tunnel, but the surrounding buildings. We work our way back to the building where we had last came from, outside and below the tunnel. Now listen to me, we didn't have any other choice because whatever the hell that was, did not need to get out of there. But blowing that building led to one hell of a gunfight. And it was during that gunfight that the tunnel digger that you see in the article was found and taken. Listen, we didn't talk about what we saw until we got back to the HQ. And when I did talk to Ryan, he asked me, what the fuck were you doing down there? You see, I didn't realize I had been down there for over 10 minutes. It was almost like time was frozen for me. He said he was at the top of the stairs, calling my name, and finally he said, fuck it, I'm going to get him. Understand, he said he was at the top of the tunnel calling my name over and over and over again, and when I didn't respond, he needed to go his ass back down the steps and drag me from whatever the hell I had gotten myself into. Now listen to this. Ryan didn't see the woman. All he saw was me standing there, staring at a wall, dripping with blood. And when it's time for our debriefing, and that chamber comes up, you should have seen the looks on everyone's faces as we told them what happened, the blank stares and the looks like, what the fuck are you talking about? The next day, we're retasked and sent on another mission. It's on the front of all of our minds, but we're soldiers and we keep it moving. That evening when we return, the entire team is called for another debriefing, this time a video conference. And you can't even see who's asking you the questions. We go through the story again, and they pin their ears back on us, trying to determine if we're lying. What did the markings look like? Describe this woman you saw. What did her hair look like? The wings, describe them. I'm like, motherfucker. They know exactly what it was. And I realized that this was some next level shit when they got mad about us blowing the tunnel. But what the hell were we supposed to do? Let whatever that was follow us back to the surface? Fuck that. A month later, I see a friend of mine. We call him Hurricane, contract out in New Orleans. We're standing there catching up, and I'm telling him, bro, I thought you were done with this stuff. I thought you had got out of the game. He goes on to tell me he was pulled back to go on a mission, something to do with a blown up tunnel that they need to get into. Listen to me. I'm like, motherfucker. So I tell him what happened to me and my team. And Hurricane doesn't look surprised at all. No shock, no nothing. He just says, listen, I'm paid to do a job, so I do it. I don't give a fuck if Allah himself is down there. I'm going down there to do my mission and get my paycheck. Then he smiles, walks off.
Let me see if I'm back. Sorry, guys, I'm still testing this. I'm not rolling like I would normally roll. Next show, you will hear pure radio awesomeness. All right, the number is 504-354-0143. The question for the next 30 minutes is, and we're going to start with the basics of this. What do you think Dogman is? There's 204 of you guys in here. The number is Mark. I don't know what the fuck wrong with you, dude. Bye. The question is, what do you think Dogman is? What do you think Dogman is? 504-354-0143. I know the conclusion that I've come to, and it's a series of conclusions. It's not one single thing. But I want to hear what you think Dogman is. 504-354-0143. As far as I'm concerned, there's multiple lanes and multiple. It's like a 4-lane highway when it comes to Dogman. I've explained this over and over and over. You have like the flesh and blood, old world creature, which, going back to what Mr. Morgan said, is a descendant of the Nephilim, or the descendants of the corruption of this planet Earth, which clearly there was some genetic modification a long time ago. And then there's the present day genetic modification. Then there's the demonic manifestations of these beings. And then there's clearly some kind of interdimensional crap going on. I can't put my finger on exactly how that works, but clearly that's going on. I mean, it's too much evidence pointing at that at this point in time. Whether it be some of the videos on YouTube that people have where you actually see portals and freaking things coming out of them. And there's too many witnesses I've spoken to that describe, what the hell was that? That describe them being in one spot in 1 minute and then gone in the next. So it's clearly, to me, a 4-lane highway. And on that highway, you got all these different things happening as far as it pertains to Dogman. What I find interesting is some people don't want to explore all lanes. Some people want to talk about, the flesh and blood, and I killed the Dogman, and I shot the Dogman, but they ignore everything else. The topic itself, in order for you to truly address it, you have to truly address all the things that are happening around it. You can't ignore the demonic manifestations and only focus on the flesh and blood encounters just because those encounters are more popular and people are afraid, or because you want to create a narrative to where the only thing that's a corner of the market on that part or portion of the narrative. So you can't do that. You need to discuss everything, and that's where I stand on it. And because I only tell true stories, for those of you who are new here and you're trying to figure out, was that story I just heard true? I only tell true stories. I released my vetting method about a month ago for you to look at with your own eyes. And if you want to steal it and copy it, I don't care at this point in time. But I released it particularly as it pertains to Dogman because the market has become saturated. I mean, overly saturated with just content for content's sake. It's kind of like, you know, just putting presents under the Christmas tree. You got a 14-year-old son and you buy him a onesie for a 1 year old. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of shit that's going on. And you got 20 gift wrapped presents of onesies under the Christmas tree. But because people will open the presents, irregardless, people just putting anything in a box and wrapping it up and then presenting it. And that's one of the problems that we have in this field. And I want to clearly separate myself from that. And I think I've done a great job from the beginning of separating myself from that, um, because it's going to continue to get worse. And it's just going to get worse. And it's going to get worse. And you guys are going to get to the point to where you're just downright aggravated with the whole situation. All right, number 504-354-0143. 504-354-0143. Call in and tell me what you think Dogman is and where he's from. Also, Trolls, you're welcome to call as well. I'm not going to be mad at you if you call me. Let me make sure Skype is still running and I'm not losing anything. Okay, so we're still running and we're good to go. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for a call, let me see what else I have on this computer. Now, these stories that you may hear some small errors in them, mainly because these are not finalized. The final files are on a whole nother computer, and it's actually kind of hard to discern what's actually a good file and what's a bad file on this computer because it's not organized at all. I mean, there's no organization in this whatsoever. Yeah, I don't even see anything on here. There's so much crap on here that's unorganized. You can't even tell what's what. I see some short stories. I see 20 scary stories. I don't know where the hell that came from. Yo, this is DW. Who am I speaking to, baby?
Hey, this is Terry up in Canada.
What's up,
I
Terry?
gotta turn you down. Nothing. I just calling. I listen to your show a lot. I was just listening about what you thought the Dogman was. And just really enjoy your show. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh man, I appreciate you calling in to tell me you enjoy the show. But I want to hear your opinion on what Dogman is. Have you had any encounters? How do you classify yourself? Are you like just a guy who likes listening to it, or you're a person who had an encounter and then you're kind of trying to get more information? Tell me a little bit about yourself. How you came upon the topic, because it's kind of it's not like something that's just a common thing for everybody. Everybody's not running around talking about Dogman and werewolves. How did you get into the subject?
Well, I was mainly chasing down like for Bigfoot, and I got into this thing. It was Rougarou, and I didn't know what the hell that was. I was, I'm from up here in Canada. It's so anyway, I was listening to stories, and then I finally figured out what you were talking about. Got into other shows there about what was going on, and for the last 3 years, I've just been soaking up as much as I can. So I don't know what I think. I don't know. Like I'm thinking that maybe they were here, and maybe I think the government's got a lot to do with it. I think they've been engineering this. Maybe they found something, or and then they just turn it against themselves. That's what I'm getting worried about. Like, it's just scaring the hell out of me. I've never seen a dog, man. I've never seen a Sasquatch. I believe in them both. I mean, Christ, how could you have so many people seeing these? You got thousands of people calling in, thousands of people subscribing, not just to your show, but all these other shows. And what are they? Everybody's making this crap up. That doesn't happen. It's crazy. So.
It's definitely got to be based in some form of truth. It's definitely got to be based in some form of truth. So you started off, were you researching Bigfoot, or were you out in the woods? Like, are you a hunter or outdoorsman? How did you get into Bigfoot and then end up getting into Dogman? Was it something you were in since you were a kid?
Well, like I said, I just run across it. I am a hunter. I've never run across anything in the woods that I couldn't handle. I've never. I don't think, like this last year up here in Ontario, I think I run into. Well, I didn't run into anything, but I'm sitting in a tree stand, and then of course everything goes like the quiet that you know everybody talks about. And before this, the chipmunks are running. We've got bear bait out. We've got a bunch of seeds and crap out, you know, and corn, stuff like that. And the chipmunks are going like crazy, lugging it off. And just now everything stops. And I'm sitting up in the tree stand, and all of a sudden there's just about, you know, about 10 minutes before dark, this great big owl starts hooting. And what the hell? You know, and I never even thought about it until I got back on the wheel. I just left after three big hoots, like about 5 minutes apart. You know, nothing's going to come out, so I just jumped on the wheel and left. Then I got thinking about all this. People are talking about the wool, or about the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, mimicking owls and mimicking everything, and you know. So anyway, then I got thinking, well, hell, you know, I got to get the hell out of here. So that's what I did. So I don't know.
And so you think it was the owl, the Bigfoot mimicking an owl? Was it louder
Yeah.
than what it would normally be? Yeah. So that's what you thought it was.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. It was louder than it should be. And I said, what the hell? What? Oh. But most of my experiences, mine come from paranormal. Like I grew up in a house that was 150 years old. It was haunted. I've seen ghosts. I've seen, you know, and people don't believe me. No, my own family doesn't even believe what I've seen. We were right out in the country. You know, there were 20 houses on our road that was like 10 miles long. So a house every half mile to a mile.
Uh-huh.
And we had grays when we were kids in the woods flagging us in, and we all just went over and talked to these gray aliens. So I mean, they were down. There was a hollow. I don't know what you guys call them down there, but anyway, the ship was down in there. I was only like 6 or 7 when that happened, but every year after that, for 3 years, they would come and take me in the night and scare the living hell right out of me. They'd be standing up. One of them would be standing on the roof, and I'd sit up in bed, and I'd be paralyzed. And then the next thing you know, it'd be morning. And then after that, I started seeing ghosts. So apparently that's a common thing when you start having alien abductions. It makes you aware of ghosts and stuff like that. And I've dealt with ghosts more than once, you know, in my life. I'm 54 now, so it's been a wild run. But get back to the Dogman, like I don't know.
Well, I want to ask you a question about the abduction because I don't really talk to many people. I only talk to about 2 people who say they have been abducted. I've talked to one person for sure. That son of a bitch was abducted. There's no doubt about it. How do you know? Like, if you wake up in bed, how do you know you've been abducted? Was it something that happened in between that time period? Like, what happened that makes you believe you were abducted? Was there other things that transpired? Was there any strange markings on your body? Well, I mean, how do you get to the point where you know you've been abducted? I guess is the best way to say it.
I don't know. It's just the images in my like when I was like 6 or 7. We had 3 channels on the TV.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we had no idea what a UFO was, an alien was, Bigfoot, or nothing. You know, we got the news, and you know, it was the 70s. It was the 70s. There was nothing. You know, I was born in '68, so I mean, there was nothing on TV to say, oh, like here's a spaceship. This is what they look like. I don't know what they look like. I just remember, you know, we all walked over to the woods the first time, and that's the last memory I have. And then my sister was talking about it 20 years later. Her and I were talking, and do you remember? And yeah, and then she filled me in on a couple things. We all walked right into the ship with this one little gray feller, and after that, I don't know what happened. And then, like I said, every year after that, we slept up on the second floor, and I had this great big 3 by 5 window right at the foot of my bed. And I would get this cold, like freaky feeling, and I'd sit up in bed, and this thing would be on the roof looking at me, this gray, and and I'd be paralyzed right there. And the next morning, I just wake up, and nothing. It was like nothing ever happened, and it was just a scary feeling. And it happened 3 years in the summertime, 3 years in a row.
And then
That's
it
what
just
was
stopped. It
really.
just ended.
I don't know if it ended or not. Like when I got older, like when I was about 14, 15, I'd be walking down the streets. Like we moved a dysfunctional family, so I moved with my mother. We moved down into a little town, and I'd be walking along, and I'd come to a street light, and the street light would go out. I'd walk to the next one would go out, and that last one would come on. And then I got thinking about, it was this stupid thing. Like I never thought about it till years later. I mean, maybe there was one of these damn ships above me, and it didn't want to be seen or something like that, and they're following me. I don't know. It's just scary things that happen in my life. It's just weird things that happen in my life.
But
The
what would
ghost,
make
the
you?
ghost, that
Let me
was
ask you
nothing.
this question: what would make like? All right, so I was a kid. You're a kid. I'm 46. I think 46, going on 47.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I grew up right next to the swamps. Literally, like you could cross a white pipe and walk into the swamps. Like, and we did it all the time. And we would see and hear weird shit all the time, but we would skedaddle. Like it wasn't like we got the fuck out of there. What made you guys actually go and get on a spaceship though? Like you weren't afraid, or was it like you guys
No,
were
but,
attracted to it? That's what's not adding up to me. Cause I would have ran, dog. I would have took off running.
well, no, we were all kids. We were curious. We had nothing to be afraid of because it didn't see. It was just a small gray. It was just like a 4 foot gray, and he was standing there waving to us. And it was like we were all mesmerized. And hey, let's go. It's somebody new to play with, and we didn't have anybody. Like there was 2 families, our family and a family across the street. There was 3 of us and 4 of them, and that's all there was. And hey, there's somebody new to play with, and it's just like once we started getting closer and closer, it just I don't know. We just must have just got into a trance. I don't know. It was just kind of freaky that way. But
That's scary.
my sister said we walked right in, and of course, I don't remember a thing about that. But once she mentioned that the gray was standing there waving, I could actually see that in my memory, and seeing the things on the roof of the house. I was on the second floor, and I see them. I can see them all the time. Like I see them in my mind. Oh, like I close my eyes and I can still see it today. Excuse me.
That's wild. So when you guys came out of the spaceship, were you just like you just woke up in your bed? Did you walk back out into the woods? How did you get out of there?
No, we just come out like probably 2 or 3 hours later, and everything was back to normal. And the funny part about it, I was looking it up, and there's an abduction in Maine. I'm trying to think of Aroostook, Maine, where these 4 men were out in a boat, and they had a campfire on shore, and it was a bonfire. And then they went out. They seen the light out in the lake or out in the water. They went out, and they were abducted. And later on, they came back, and the fire was completely out. So that would have been like 5 or 6 hours later. Excuse me. And as the crow flies, that's only about a half an hour or 30, 40 miles from my house, where our farmhouse was.
Wow, that's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, it's
That's pretty
crazy, man.
scary. I couldn't imagine being a kid laying in bed and then seeing something on the roof. Like when you say roof, are you mean like on the ceiling of your bedroom, or you mean on the roof of your house,
No,
looking down through the window?
no,
How will you see them on the roof if you're inside the house?
No, I was looking out the window, and there's a porch roof out there, and they were standing on the porch roof.
Oh, I got you. I got you, man. That would frighten the hell out of me as a kid. I would have been traumatized. Like I would have been traumatized my whole life after that. And how's your sister? Is she doing well? Like, how has she's adjusted to it? Did it affect you guys negatively? As you became adults. Was there any like, carryover from that abduction?
No, because we've just mainly forgotten about it, right? And it was like years later we brought this thing up, and then we started remembering. I got to get something for this cough. Just give me half a second here. Cough drop. So yeah, like there was 7 of us there, and my sister and I are the only ones that remember it. So I think that's kind of strange.
Have you guys kept up with the other kids at this point, as adults?
No, we've basically all grown apart. So
That's
my
amazing.
sister.
Your childhood best friend and the kids that you grew up with, sometimes you just grow apart from them.
Well, yeah. Like I said, we were a dysfunctional family, so.
Oh, so it was 7 of your kids all together. I thought you meant like 7 kids in the neighborhood.
No, it was 7 kids. There was four across the road in a different house,
Oh, okay.
and then 3 of us in the other house. So, but we were the only ones out there. Like, there was no street lights where we lived. I mean, there's still no street lights at night. It's just pitch black. So, it's just a crazy thing. And then after the aliens, I started seeing ghosts in our house, in the old farmhouse, and I wasn't the only one. So I had a girlfriend that, after my father passed away, she looked down at the end of the bed and asked me why I was smoking, and then she looked and I was laying beside her. It was my father had just passed away, and he was just sitting there having a smoke, looking at us.
Ain't that some shit? And your father was known to smoke when he was alive?
Oh yeah, one after another.
Wow.
And then about when I was 9, excuse me, 9 or 10, I was laying in bed, and then I woke up, and we had something in a white nightgown went through the room, and it wasn't bobbing up and down. It was just floating through the room, and it floats right through the wall. So I woke up the next morning, and I asked my mom, I said, were you in the room last night or anything like that? She said no. And then I told her what happened. So, I mean, it's just little things like that.
Yeah, that's insane. That's more that's more alien and ghost than Dogman. But I guess with experiencing all that crap in life, the last thing you need to do is run into a Dogman or a Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying? Seemed like you had enough, bro.
I want to go hunting again this fall, and I'm going to be out of the woods before dark. That's for sure. But I'll be keeping my eyes peeled because those Dogmen can come out anytime.
No, they definitely can. And Bigfoot, they both will come out day or night. So you just got to be smart when you find yourself in the woods. You know what I'm saying? You know the woods, just like you followed your instinct and you heard what sounded like an owl, but the noise was probably off, and you made the decision, okay, I need to go. That's what you need to do. You got to follow your gut instinct, and it's there for a reason.
It was just too loud. It was way too loud for an owl. So I don't know. It's just. I'm glad I got out of there when I did, it's been an interesting life. My wife and I were sitting down here one night, and my phone goes off, and it was recording. Somehow it was recording. It was sitting on the back of the couch, and it was just, we were listening to it, and then it was our conversation. What we were talking about. And then this voice comes on my phone. I dialed it. So I thought that was kind of weird. So there was a paranormal convention in our town, or in the city I'm living in now. So I went down to talk to them about it. It was in the evening, and I'm walking up to them, and they said, "Your father's with you." And I said, "What?" And I never even said a word to him. He said, "Yeah, he's standing right beside you." And then I told them the story about what happened with the cell phone. And he said, "Yeah, he was trying to contact you." So that was kind of weird. But I never said a word to them. I just walked up to them, and up to these two women. They were having a cigarette, and that's what they said. "Yeah, your father's with you." So
That's not a bad thing.
no, not a bad thing. But
That's not a bad thing at all. All right, brother, I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna grab me another call. But before I let you go, so as far as you're concerned, if we're voting on Dogman being real or not, you're definitely in the column of it absolutely being real. You've seen it's too much going on out here for it to be fake, right?
oh yeah, it's real. There's just no. I think the government's got a lot to do with it. Maybe trying to make a perfect killing machine or something like that, and maybe they found something, or maybe they've genetically spliced 2 or 3 different creatures together, and the DNA and stuff like that, and maybe a part human, part wolf, and part, I don't know what it would be, but it's something. It's not good. I don't know. And then the land between the lakes thing is that's really scary. So.
I have never really gotten to the LBL thing. I avoided it because everybody and their mama is talking about LBL. And there's so many researchers that have looked into it. And because I take so many phone calls from people, and for those of you guys listening, this is essentially the same thing that I do when I talk to people on the phone normally. It's a conversation like this. But there was so many people in the LBL talking about it. I just ignored it. Like, even when people call me now, I had one person call me last month talking about the LBL. We talked, but I purposely didn't remember what the person said because I refused to talk about the LBL. I think there's enough researchers talking about the LBL. I think it's being covered extremely well. There's a lot of content out there on it, and it's not the only place where there's activity. So I just let it go. You know what I'm saying? But I do know for a fact it's definitely real activity there. You know what I'm saying? It's too well researched.
I don't think people are going to realize that these things are real until maybe they invade a city or wipe out entire towns and stuff like that. And it's going to come to that eventually. That's what I'm getting worried about. Not up here as much as down towards where you are, down around Baton Rouge and there. I mean, that seems to be the central hub for everything right now. Seems like that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, there's too many people with guns around here for them to invade the city. Yeah, they might get one person, but there's way too many people with guns. Everybody and mama, they got old women sitting on their porch with their Bibles with shotguns down here. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody ain't playing around here.
I've got 6 guns for every person in this house.
Oh yeah, you
heavy.
I'm heavy
well, waiting for them, and I've got probably 10 to 15,000 rounds of ammo. So I'm always ready.
Yeah, you're ready for the end of the world. All right, brother, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you calling in, and thanks for listening.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, bye.
Bye.
My man said he got 6 guns for everybody in the house and 15,000 rounds. Who want the smoke? Y'all don't want no smoke with that, man. Pull up. He can shoot. He can shoot at your ass for a week. That's crazy. He can shoot for a week and still be plugging on you. And that's a crazy thing that when I hear people talking about the government's going to come and do this. Man, they got cats out here with heat. They got people in New Orleans that I know that's so heavy. It's ridiculous. We talking about 10,000 rounds of 223. And I'm like, why the hell you got 10,000 rounds of 223? You never know what I need it for. We talking about multiple 100-round drums. It's crazy. Yo, this is Dark Waters. Who am I speaking to, baby?
Hey, what's going on, Dark Water? You speaking to Wayne, man, from Naptown, Indianapolis, Indiana, my brother.
Wayne, what's up, pimp?
Hey, man, what's going on, man? Hey, I always had a quick question for you, man. With especially down in like Louisiana and stuff like that. Well, down south, just wanted to ask your opinion on this. What do you think? Like, do you think like when slavery was going on and you had like rebellions and like as far as like slaves running away and trying to escape. And you know they was escaping through the swamps and forests and well the woods and stuff. Do you ever have you ever heard of any stories of like slaves like seeing any dogman or any encounters with anything like that, or like old stories from people like that?
No,
If that makes
I
sense.
no, I haven't. What I can tell you is this: my family on my father's side, when I was a, when my great grandfather was a sharecropper, and I remember my uncle Nick telling stories about how he had to leave Alabama because he got into some beef, and then he came to Mississippi and he lived in the woods
Hmm.
for a while, and how he was hearing strange noises and having smells in the woods that ran him out of there, and he ended up becoming a preacher. But
Wow.
nothing outside of that. Now, if I was to speculate, I would say that people have had, if you were in the swamps, you had to run into all kinds of stuff back then. Um, because as you know, voodoo and voodoo and hoodoo were very prevalent back then. And then
Hmm.
in that time period, we had the Native Americans who were here and their witchcraft and their practicing, especially down here in the South where I am, because everybody was just, it was a gumbo of people. So I'm pretty sure somebody's ran into something. I just don't have a story about it, mainly because it was so long ago, and I can't find anybody who would. Nobody's alive that would probably have a story like that. Now I can't
Well, I
tell
had
you
a feeling.
ghost stories. Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's all right. I just thought that from like stories that probably was like passed down from generation to generation of like maybe somebody owns some land and they just from you know uh past generations they might have heard the stories or something going on back then. It just always crossed my mind ever since I started looking up and finding out about Dogman and stuff because I'm a truck driver. I drive for FedEx, and I go to Chicago to Indiana back every night. So this kind of sparked my interest, and I'm like, I wanted to know that if they were seeing things because most of the time they were escaping at night, and I'm like, okay, they're in these deep woods and stuff. I want to know if it was some stories like that. So I really appreciate that. And
Well,
another
before I
question I
let you
just
go, let
had
me say
was,
this. I think the reason there's a impediment to us getting those stories, and it's a cultural thing for the most part with black folks. We don't really talk about the spooky, crazy, creepy shit. Like
you're
we
right.
we
You're
like,
right.
nah,
You're
I ain't
right.
fucking with that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
and I
I
think
agree
that
with
would be
that.
the impediment to getting those stories because even here locally,
Uh huh.
when I'm smoking cigars, or the last time I was out on the golf course, somebody was cracking jokes. A guy who owns a lot of property that I used to invest with. He's like, man, I can't believe you on YouTube doing things on YouTube, man. You did this, and he starts asking me questions. And he's had ghostly activity in his current house right now, but he didn't want to talk about
Wow.
it. He was like, man, I don't want to talk about that shit. I plead the blood of Jesus, and I ain't gonna talk about it because it's gonna make it worse. And I was like, well, you should tell me. I may be able to help you. Oh no, fuck that.
Right.
I'm not talking about it. I'm like, bro, we on a golf course
That's black
in
people, like you
broad
said. That's
daylight.
black people in general. We don't never want to talk about our problems or anything. I mean, we can that's a whole nother story. But you absolutely right. Another question was, do you have anything else coming out as far as like with the guys Ben and Roger? I think Inhuman was I mean some top notch work that you did, my brother. I mean that had me like over the edge, especially with the Lion Men. Like I mean that was some stuff like I couldn't even fathom like to be real, and it was like wow, that just blew my mind. So I was
Yes,
just like I want to know if anything else is probably going to come out with those guys.
yes, I have everything with those guys is gonna come out. The Operation Black Sun, like I said the other night, it's hard to maintain that level of quality sound wise without giving it
Yeah.
all the attention it needs. And so it has to have
Mm.
the right attention because there's expectations for it. And in my opinion, I could be wrong. I mean, when it comes to this, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I actually get mad when I hear a mistake. Um,
Yeah.
in my
I
opinion,
understand.
it has to be right. But before you get that, you're gonna get the story of Scissors, which is the last half hour of that I recorded this weekend. So that's gonna come out first
Awesome.
because that's something that I really want to tell, and I want people to understand about that dude. That dude that went through some shit. You know what I'm saying, in his lifetime, and a lot of people they feel like, oh man, my life is bad. No, bitch, you ain't seen bad until you hear this. You know what I'm saying? I want people to hear that. You ain't heard bad until you hear this type of shit, and
Man,
it just it
I'm
goes
looking
to show
forward
why he
to it.
became what he was.
Right. Well, I'm looking so forward to it, man. Like this keeps me going, at night, man, because I travel at night, coming to and fro, like I said, from on my journey, man, and I just want to say, hey, brother, I truly appreciate you, man. There's nobody out here that got content like you, man. All the imposters, they can try it, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, they know who's running the show when it comes to this type of content, man. And I just want to say I appreciate it, bro, because it's hard staying up at night, driving. You can only do so much, but man, this right here, it keeps me going. So I just want to say, hey, man, I truly appreciate it, brother.
No, I appreciate you too, man, and keep on listening. I got it coming, and when it comes, I'm telling you, you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna be like, what the
Oh,
fuck? And I
now
tell you,
it's going to be on the for the members first, or how you gonna do that? Is
you
it going to be
guys
on
are have it
YouTube or
first,
for
but
the
then
members?
you guys are gonna have it first, but then it's gonna drop on YouTube because I agreed. The agreement with them, with those guys, was that it needed to be public, so I have to do it publicly and put it on YouTube. That's the
Okay,
agreement in exchange for me being able to tell everybody's stories. So that'll be going on for a
okay,
while because I'm gonna tell everybody's story. I told Ben's
gotcha.
story, which I can't find anymore. I don't know what the hell I did with that. Um, I don't know where that went. It was on YouTube. It's not even on YouTube anymore. I probably freaked out when crazy stuff started happening back in the day, and I first started talking to those guys, and I realized, oh shit, I'm talking about
Yeah,
real Venezuelan presidents. You know what I'm saying? I freaked
right,
out.
right,
Probably
right.
deleted it, but nonetheless, it'll definitely be there for you to listen to. And if you are you a member right now?
Yes, sir, I am. I just joined like a month or two ago.
Have you checked out the Unk story,
No,
Uncle
I
Murder?
haven't. I'm a father as well, so I'm pretty busy with my 3-year-old a lot. So when I get a chance and stuff, I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna have to get on there tonight. I just pulled over at this Love's gas station to go grab me up some drinks, and I seen on YouTube you was live, so I said let me go give him a call real quick and see what's going on. But yeah, I'm definitely, if it's on your on the website, then yeah, I'm definitely about to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Go to the albums, and the first two parts is there. You'll really really enjoy that one. You really will. All
Awesome.
right, bro. I'm gonna let you
Okay.
go. Be safe out there on the road,
Likewise.
man.
Hey, I appreciate you, Waters. Have a good night, brother.
All right, man. Later.
Later.
Man, what's going on outside? Does it look like I heard a baby crying a few minutes ago, and that's somebody real baby, not a ghost. Not somebody out there blowing the horn. It's going down out here in these streets. They had so much traffic out here when I was on my way over here today. It was amazing. I mean, just cars. I don't know if there's a basketball game. Maybe people, it's Friday, so maybe people just out running them streets. The number 504-354-0143. Let me see if I can get it back. I haven't done live calls for a minute. I ain't got my mojo back. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have my mojo like I had prior to the Dark Waters era when I was just on radio every day, like chopping it up with people. But it's getting there. I can feel it coming back. You know what I'm saying? I'm losing the oohs and the ums, because when you hear someone saying on the radio all the time, the guy's a retard. Oh, we got another call. Yo, it's your boy Dark Waters. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, Dark Waters. Speaking to Paul from
What up,
Wyoming.
Paul?
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Where you say you're from?
Wyoming, but
Wyoming.
originally from Chicago.
From
I
the
live in Wyoming
Chi-Town.
now. Yeah,
Hey,
from the Chi-Town.
hey, man. I had a client of mine. This was funny.
Okay.
Uh, we were talking today, and she was like, "I'm leaving. I'm leaving Texas. I'm going to Chicago because the people in Chicago are way better, and Chicago's a better city." I said, "Girl, you lost your damn mind." I said, "Do you know what the crime rate is in Chicago?" I said, "You better stay your ass where you at." And she's like, "Only you
Yeah,
would
it's the
tell a client
truth.
that." I said, "You better sit your ass down. You tripping." I was like, "What's wrong with you? You done lost your mind."
Yeah, my mom still lives out there, and it's bad. It's bad. It's not too good. So, but I wanted to talk to you about your question you asked about the Dogman. I believe it is real. I've had two encounters with it during my lifetime. The first one was down in Lake Geneva, and I don't want to say the place I was at because it's a vacation place for kids where I had this experience, and at the time I was working there as a teenager. I was about 14, and there was something going on in the woods around the area. It was a camp, and in the middle of the night, myself and the person that I was working with during that time, we were watching. We were staying in this cabin, basically, and we're in charge of taking care of a bunch of younger kids, and in the middle of the night, I was laying on the floor, asleep with him, because we had heard that people had seen something in the woods during the day, earlier in the day. Some was hiding in the woods, and as you went down through the vacation area down the road into the main area compound, people were seeing shadows and stuff like that during the day, something moving through the trees and through the thicket of the woods. And then
I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me
the
ask you
day.
a question.
Sure.
What do you do
Go
for
ahead.
a living?
What do I do for a living now?
Yeah.
I've done many things, but right now I'm a barber.
Really?
Yep,
Got
I'm a
your own
barber.
shop?
I have barber buses in Wyoming. So I
What? Like
cut
where you
hair
drive
in
around and
buses.
cut people's hair? Like,
Yep,
is that good
yep.
money?
It is, and it helps out a lot of people. It's really helped a lot for during the pandemic and stuff, for actually the senior citizens who couldn't get to and fro from different, to the shops and stuff. I could come and, stop there, and they would get on the bus, and I would cut their hair.
Gotcha.
So
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I just wanted to know because you sound like you got a little bit of a radio voice, and you're pretty smooth with what you're saying. Anyway, so let me pick back up where you were. So you guys were out. You guys were at a place for kids. Was it like you and your family, or were you a kid? What was your age
I
when
was a
this was
kid. I
going?
was a kid. I was 14. I was like
Okay.
14, and so I was a counselor. I was a junior counselor at this camp that's out there. So anywho, the whole story was basically somebody was around the area trying to scare the kids and stuff, the younger kids and whatnot. And so, well, the night came. We ended up having to watch the kids, myself and another junior counselor, in a cabin. And the main counselor was already gone down at the big house that we call it, down in the compound. And I guess they were having a meeting. And I would say it was probably around 9 o'clock or so, and the kids were already sleeping. Myself and the other young guy were talking about the day, and just talking about what had happened with this person or whatever was in the woods. And then all of a sudden we started hearing somebody walking from next kind of the cabin. We could tell where the woods were, and we heard rustling out in the woods near the cabin front door. And I would say it was like maybe 10 feet or 15 feet away, the woods for where the cabin was. And we heard rustling in the woods because the windows were open. It was hot, summertime, right? And we started hearing footsteps coming towards us. And as you got closer, there's like gravel in the grass area right before you get to the steps. And I'm like, "You hear that?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I wonder if it's the counselor." He's like, "Well, they're not supposed to be back till about 10. They're having a meeting." And I go, "Well, what time is it?" He's like, "It's like 9:30. And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's just wait and see." And then all of a sudden, the person or thing or whatever it was came and just stopped right in front of the cabin. And we're like, "That's weird." So he and I both got up, and we kind of crouched over to the front door, and there's no lock in the front door. Now, mind you, this was back in the late 80s, early 90s when this happened. And so, there was like no crime up there in Lake Geneva like what we have now. And so there was never any locks at the doors, and we were always safe. And I had been there. I had been a camper prior to that too. So I've gone there like 2 years prior to that as a camper. So I was always safe there at the camp. So what I told them, I was like, "Well, hold on to the door because they're going to probably try to come up here and pull this door open." And let me tell you, that thing flung the screen door to the porch open really hard that it slammed, and it like ran up into the to the door and started pulling on the door, and it almost opened up. And I pulled the guy who was holding the door back because he couldn't hold the door closed, and I pulled him. I put my arms around his body, and I pulled him back, and we both had our legs up against the frame of the door, trying to hold the door closed. And this thing had the strength. It was strong, the strongest thing we ever did. And I go, okay, whatever this is going to happen, let's just push the door towards it, and maybe it'll fling it and hurt it, and it'll run. And that's what we did. It flung. We pushed the door real quick. It hit the thing. The thing fell back through the screen, and all we heard was it run on four feet or four legs into the woods and disappeared. And all the kids were screaming and stuff like that. And then the other cabin woke up with the other counselor because those kids overheard the commotion and everything because it was really loud and the screen door was broken. The counselor came from the other cabin and, oh, what happened? And then the sheriff got called and so on and so forth. And then after that, for about a week, they had patrols every night trying to look for this thing that was out there. And then so we never knew what it was, but we knew it was walking on all fours when it left. But in the beginning, it was walking on bipedal, and it stepped up when we heard it. So that was my
But
first
the
encounter
door
with
itself
something.
swung. The door didn't swing. It didn't open in. The door opened out.
Out. Yes, it opened out. So I was pulling on him to keep the door closed inward. So
So when you guys let the door go and the door swung open, you guys didn't see anything.
no, because we got thrown back. And so when he let it go, we were pushing with our legs up against that frame that we pushed ourselves back, and we kind of fell on our backs. And he fell on top of me. I fell on the floor, and we were looking up at the at the roof, the ceiling. And then when we got up real quick, that thing was already gone. So all we did was hear. And I asked him, "Did you see anything?" He goes, "No, all I saw was a shadow because the lights were off. There was no lights on in the cabin or outside on the porch." And he said, "I just saw a shadow run into the woods, and that's it." And I heard it with four legs running. I could tell, how a dog runs. That's what I heard. So,
Okay,
and yeah. Go ahead.
your basis for saying it was a dogman encounter is basically because you heard something on four legs.
Yeah. And then I came. I heard it with something that ran four legs, but I didn't know what it was, and we both didn't know. And I came to the realization that it was Dogman encounter when I finally started hearing about the Brea Road and the Loup-Garou that are around Lake Geneva and what is that lady? I can't remember her name, but she's done a couple of stories about the Loup-Garou and Brea Road. That's not too far from Lake Geneva and Williams Bay and all that stuff because it's really close. And I was like, well, maybe that's what it was that I encountered back
let me
then.
ask you this question: the cabin that you were in, were there kids in there with you guys?
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. We had about 15. So we're kind of thinking maybe the kids also scared him or scared it. Whatever, if it was a male or female or whatever, just the kids screaming, stuff like that. Maybe the other kids screaming in the other cabin that wasn't too far, or that was kind of right next to us. That could have scared it. So, we just don't know what it was. And so my guesstimation is I came to the realization later on in life that that's what it was because I heard about the Loup-Garou and Brea Road with, Dogman later on in the 90s. And I kind of put two and two together and I was like, I wonder if maybe that's what was attacking, the cabin at that time. So
I gotcha.
So that was my first. I feel that was my first encounter with Dogman.
But I'm still confused though. Help me out with this. So
Sure.
walk me through this. So we got a screen door that opens out. We got a regular door that opens out.
Yeah.
So we got two doors that open
Yeah.
out. We have something pull a screen door open, which if it's Dogman, if it's a very big animal, the screen door is open, right? And so now it's pulling on the other door that opens out. When you let that door go, how did it go back through the screen door? I mean, I'm very aware of the size of Dogmen. Even unless we're talking about a Dogman pup, which those things are
It,
4.5, 5 feet tall. I just don't understand. I don't understand the screen door aspect of it. To go through the
well,
screen door. When you
so
say
if
through the
if you
screen door, do you mean it bumped into the door? You got to help me with that.
no, what I'm saying is that okay, if you're facing the door that leads into the cabin itself,
Yeah, we're standing
the
outside the
that
door. Okay.
yeah, the outside door, right? Not the screen door, but the actual door. If you're facing it, the lock is on the left hand side, so it swings open to the right. The screen door, when you look at it, it swings open to the left, and it's hooked onto like it's and they were older cabins back then, and I've been back to the camp, and they're all brand new cabins. All those old cabins were from like the 1930s and 20s. So they were just they were being held on with hinges, but to open and close them was just a long what you would call it spring, and so you could just fall right through it. So it didn't lock, it just swung open and closed. And so like I said, it swung open to the left, the main door swung open to the right. So what we're thinking, when he was pulling, or it was pulling towards itself to open the door, because if he was facing our door, the door would open to the left to him, or to it, whatever it is. And so when we let the door go and kind of pushed it too, I think it kind of hit itself with the door. It kind of bounced off to the side wall that's to its left, and kind of fell back toward down the porch stairs, and went through the screen door. Basically, you get my drift. It went through the screen door and then down the two little stairs that would come up to the porch. And then that's how we're thinking it fell back, because the screen door was kind of broken because of its size, I guess. And it just fell back, and then we just heard it take off, and then by the time we got up, it was already gone.
I got you. So I'm okay.
You
So what we're
got my
saying is there's a separate screen door. So there's a screened-in porch, is what we're saying, is what you're describing.
Yes, he was standing in the porch trying to pull the door open. Yep.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay, so it's a screened-in porch. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I
got me?
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I just couldn't visualize that. So it's a screened-in porch.
Yeah.
What was your second encounter?
So then my second encounter was about 5 years ago, up in the Chequamegon National Forest. So I was going to get my master's degree up at a college in Ashland, Wisconsin. Okay. And during the summer, I did a special program that was basically historically restoring buildings, and it was part of the school I was going to. And unfortunately, at the same time, I had my sister passed away from a car accident in Chicago, and so I kind of ended up becoming a dad, and I had my three nieces that I'm raising now by myself. And so, I wanted to bring in some extra cash. So this was a special stipend because I'm a veteran, and so it was a special stipend and a special program, and I got a special extra credit for the summer. And so I went to go do this down in the Chequamegon National Forest in this compound that was left over to the college that I was going to. Anywho, one of the nights I was working there, it had just rained. I was sleeping in my Nissan Murano, and it was kind of hot, and I had opened the door to let some air in, and you don't see nothing out there. It's black. We're out in the forest in this compound, and there's like no lights where I was parked. There's a couple other cars parked there in the RV, and it was like, I would say maybe, I looked at my watch that was like glowing, and I believe it was like around 3:45, something like that. And so I could see a little bit of light, and the clouds were moving up in the sky, and I'm laying there trying to cool off because it's hot in the Murano, and I started hearing something walking from the woods again, walking towards where my vehicle was. And I was like, what the heck is that? And like I said, I looked at the time, and I was like, oh, it's 3:00. Everybody's asleep. There's about 15 of us. There's nobody has a light on. This thing just kept walking, and I was like, oh my Lord, I'm just gonna close. I'm gonna just pull this door close and close it. And so I closed the back door, locked it with the automatic beep, and I just laid there. And this thing walked up to my Murano, and it stood there, and I heard it walk, and it just and it was tall. It put its body up on top of laid on top of the side of the Murano where I was at in the back window, and put its head up against the window, and I could hear it, and I was like, oh Lord. And as it did that, it pushed the Murano towards the middle of the driveway I was in, and I could feel it move, and I was like, this ain't no human being doing this. And so I just laid there, and I started praying to God. I was like, whatever this is, I don't want to know what it is. I don't want to look at it. So I kind of turned away from it, and I just laid there, and I could hear it breathing up against the window, and it was looking in the window, and it moved its head that was pressed up against the window, and I could hear its skin like kind of making that weird noise that it makes when you slide something up against glass. And I was like, oh. And I just prayed. I said, Lord, please let this thing go away. So it moved itself around to the back of the vehicle. It pushed itself up off the vehicle, and so the vehicle moved. Then kind of went behind there, and then did the same thing, and pushed most of its weight on the back part of the vehicle that pushed it forward. And it did the same thing. It laid its forehead up against the back window, and I could hear it plop its forehead on the window, and was looking, and I could hear it breathing up against the glass. And I was like, okay. I threw the blankets over my head, and I just kept praying, and it just ended up pushing itself off the vehicle, and I heard it get on all fours, walk away from the vehicle towards an area where there was more people camped out in tents and stuff, and I heard it kind of like jump over I heard it make noise, and I was thinking it kind of walked over, kind of jumped over this wooden fence that was there separating the driveway between the grassy knoll where everybody was camping. And I didn't hear anything after that, and I basically I forced myself back to sleep. But the next morning, I woke up. I had kitchen duty to get stuff ready for the morning, before we go to our morning work details and stuff. And people were coming up. Hi, Paul. How's it going? How you doing? Oh, I'm all right. Did you hear anything strange last night? Were anybody up late last night? I was like, nope. I didn't hear nothing. He's like, well, somebody was fooling out around by the tents, and we thought people were up last night. Nope, I didn't see nothing. I didn't hear anything. And then more people were just talking about that, and asking everybody if they had been asleep and stuff like that. And I just kept my mouth shut, and I didn't say anything, and I left it as is. And so, that encounter, I don't know if it was a Dogman or if it was a Bigfoot, but I did my research again, and I looked, and there is been a couple of stories of Bigfoots and dog encounters up in the Chequamegon National Forest. So I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I ran into something like that. But the strangest thing was, after that, a lot of paranormal stuff started happening in the rest of the buildings that we were rehabbing or kind of restoring. There's this place that used to be a milking area for cows that the people had there on the compound. And I had come back from being at home on a Sunday, because my work way would start Monday, and so I would stay there all through the week. And my daughters had babysitters during the weekday while I was there doing this class. And I came back, and I had some food and some drinks and stuff like that, soft drinks, and I came around, and I was in that area. That was the Cow Palace, I guess they call it. And there was a fridge there, and I saw somebody, which I believe was a friend of mine named Matt, who walked there, and I could see his curly hair through the windows. And he walked back into the area where that fridge was at. And so I went through there, and I was like, hey, Matt, what's going on? Where you at? And I turned the corner, and there was nobody there. And I was like, what the heck? I walked back through the whole building just to look around to see if he was around. I was calling his name, nothing. I was like, okay, well, maybe this guy left or went out a door I didn't see. So I came back. I started putting the groceries away, and I heard somebody behind me go, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I thought it was him. And I go, "Hey, I got a soda here. You want one?" And I turned around and I looked, and there was nobody behind me. I put the soft drink back. I said to whatever was there, "Hey, help yourself to whatever I brought. I'll see you later." And I closed the fridge, walked out the cow palace, went up to the main house, got into the main house, and everybody was sitting there, and there was Matt. And I go, "Hey, dude, were you down just a few minutes ago down there?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "I could have sworn you were." He's like, "I've been here for the past 2 hours." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Well, you probably met the ghost that's here. We've had paranormal stuff happen before, but not like that." And I was like, "Okay." So, and I told them what had happened, and I said, "Hey, I distinctively saw you walk out of that one part of that cow palace, past these doors, go around the corner, and that's where I lost you. And I swear it was you." He's like, "It wasn't me. I've been up here for 2 hours." So, and then more paranormal stuff started ramping up after that, and other people started having stories about seeing stuff or hearing things. And I was like, "Well, that's kind of strange too." Right after this encounter I had, stuff like that started ramping up. So I don't know. So that's
So let
my
me ask you
story.
this question.
Sure.
Um, so you're in the camp that Dogman is actually real.
Mm-hmm. I believe he's real. I don't know if he is some type of living entity or living thing that's been around for centuries. That has, because I've heard many different stories. I've seen a lot of I've seen some of the stories that are out there about Bigfoots, and that Bigfoots are different. I don't know if it's a Bigfoot that looks like a dog man. That's probably like a cannibalistic type of Bigfoot. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is a Lugaru or a Wolfman or an actual hybrid of some kind. But there's something strange that's going on, and it's real. And I've encountered it twice, and I believe, there is something out there. What it is, I cannot pinpoint. It could be man-made, but there is
Well, when you
something
saw
there.
it leaning on a car, what did it look like when you saw it leaning on a car?
No. See, when I said that, I didn't want to look at it. I just heard it lean itself up against the car. I turned away. I didn't want to look. I was looking up when it came towards me, stopped right next to the vehicle. I was looking up at the ceiling, and it, like, when it put its weight up against the vehicle right next to me and pushed the car. That's when I turned, and I got scared. And Dark Waters, I was scared. I've never experienced any fear like that ever. And I served overseas, and I had fear, but that type of fear of knowing there is something that it's there, but you don't know what it is. It is like, it's like what they say about, you get that weird feeling in your chest, like next to your heart and your throat. And that's the kind of fear I felt, and I didn't want to look at it. And I was like, I didn't want to get stuck, stuck looking at it, and just all of my things in my head. If it's a Bigfoot, I know that their eyes glow. Things I didn't want to see none of that. That's why I turned at the same time as it. As soon as it pushed its thing up, I just knew it was something heavy. I just turned, and I was like, nope, I don't want to look at this, and I don't want to get scared like that.
Let me ask you another question. So, when did you piece together that your encounters with Dogman, and how? Like, when did you start consuming Dogman content? Has it been like the past 6 months, past 12 months, past 18 months? How long have you been consuming Dogman content?
Well, Dogman, I basically came across it with, it's her name's Linda Moulton Howe, and I believe her name is. And I've heard her story one time back in the early 90s, I believe, when I saw some type of show that, I don't know if it was sightings or something like that. That was the first time I heard about Dogman. Then, throughout the years, I heard more and more about it. And then when I finally got to your YouTube channel, and I started hearing more and more of your stories and more about what these people were seeing, and I can't specify which ones because there's been so many that I've heard. A lot of it is almost similar to some of the things that I've experienced, in these two situations. And I was like, it could be a Dogman, it could be a Bigfoot, or maybe it's a combination of both. But I do know the one in Wisconsin was a Dogman. That I know, because at that time when I was 14, that's when a lot of that stuff was going on out there. That I do remember. So from what I read, and I was like, well, it's got to be something like that. And so, but the truth is, it's still unexplained to me. But I believe deep down inside it was a Dogman. That first encounter. The second encounter could have been a Bigfoot. So I just know there's a lot of things that are out there, and we'll be seeing more of it as time goes on, I believe. So.
Well, I appreciate your call, buddy. That's some frightening
Okay.
encounters, man. Be careful out there.
Well,
You seem like you're a
okay, well,
magnet
thank you so
for 'em.
much, Dogman. Well, I'm going to lay low. I'm just going to barber from now on, man. No more woods for me. All right, thanks so much, Dark Waters. Love your show. You have a
All right,
good
man.
one.
Take it easy.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going on 9:50. We've been going for almost 2 hours. I said we'll make it a solid 2 hours before we go off, because I'm getting a little hungry. And the test has worked out perfectly. Things are working. Things are moving in the direction in which they should move. And I'm liking it. So we got time for another call. 504-354-0143. 504-354-0143. Feel free to call in if you want. Some good encounters from people, man. Some pretty good encounters. I just think that when we start talking about the subject of Dogman and the topic of Dogman, I'm leery because there are certain things that are a part of the Dogman lexicon, like I told you guys before, and there's certain common themes and common threads and stories that people have. I'm always leery, and when I'm listening to stories, because I'm trying to figure out what's what. So if you hear that in my voice, that's all you're hearing. What the hell is going on with that? 777. Yo, this Dark Waters. Who am I speaking to?
How you doing? This is Alex.
Alex, what's
This
going
is
on, my friend?
DW? How are you, sir? Hey,
I'm good.
question. I got a question for you. Has anybody ever thought about the pineal gland with these creatures?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't think about Dogman penises. Why would you?
No,
why, you been
pineal
thinking about?
gland. Pineal
Oh,
gland.
pineal gland. No. Walk
Yeah,
me through your
like-
thought process on it.
Okay. In other words, do you know anything about it? In other words, do, re, mi, fa, sol. You know that? Do you know any of that?
Yes, but walk me through what you're thinking about.
In other words, the crystal lines on their pineal gland, right? In other words, even for a human being, it's the size of a raisin. Okay? These creatures' heads are obviously bigger, so theirs has got to be about the size of, let's say, a golf ball.
Okay.
All right? Now, the crystallines, that's the only place you'll find on the human body where there's actual crystals on your pineal gland. Okay? Now, the thing about these things is, depending on what you really have...
Hold on. Can you turn down... What do you got? You got yourself playing in the background. Can you turn it down a little bit?
I shut it off.
Echo. Okay, now go ahead.
Now, what I was saying is basically, in other words, if you got 3 colored stripes and a 4th one if you're veiled, if you were born veiled, okay, you know that one?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. If you go out, say, out in the woods, all right, and you were I'm going to skip for a second. I'm going to get back to what I was talking to you in a second. If you went out there with, say, a way to read radio frequencies, you know what I'm saying? What frequencies are you picking up? Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
It's
you're
gotta
talking
be
about
emitting.
we as human beings being psychic. I understand what you're saying.
Right. In other words, they got 6 senses, obviously. Okay. You start, in other words, how do I want to word this to let you really know what I'm thinking? If these creatures, like in other words, if you sit there and you're hiding in the woods, I've noticed this a lot in every case. If you sit there and you stare at it, that thing's going to find you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to know something staring at it, and it'll eventually look until it finds you. You know what I mean? It feels your fear.
And you're
And that's
attributing that to the pineal gland?
Yeah, and it's homing in on you. It's like
But
putting up
wouldn't
a
they
road
have,
sled.
let me ask you this question, wouldn't they have a heightened sense of hearing, a heightened sense of smell? Wouldn't they
Yes.
have all that as well?
In other words, there's been a couple of cases where a guy was up on a tree stand, and a guy was looking at it, and he glanced down and looked back up and glanced back down, and it was sniffing. But he was high up in a tree stand. He really couldn't get his smell, right? He couldn't locate him. And then he just went trotting along on his way. Now, there's, 4 stories like that. You know what I'm saying? I know you've looked into every story out there, you know? So if that's the case, okay, that's how they find you. You know what I'm saying? They feel fear. They home in on your pineal gland because it resonates. People who pray, people don't even understand what praying really is. What is prayer?
Well, I mean, your theory
Define
is a
it.
good theory, but let me ask you this. So let's
Sure.
walk through a scenario. And there may be some basis to it, but let's walk through a scenario. Scenario A.
Yes.
Jonathan is walking out in the woods. He doesn't know Dogman's around.
Right.
Hasn't seen Dogman. He's not afraid. He's an avid hunter. He's in the woods all the time. Right?
Okay. Yep.
He's just going about his business. Jonathan has a Dogman encounter where he sees Dogman.
Yep.
There's no fear being exuded from Jonathan until he actually sees it, right? But
Right.
that Dogman was in that area prior to him seeing it. So
Yep.
unless what you're saying, and I'm just trying to get on the same page with you, unless what you're saying is that dogmen are psychic and that they can actually pick up on, whatever our thought vibrations are.
You're getting closer.
That's
You're
the
pretty
only
close.
That's the only thing I can see. But to attribute it to fear, you negate all the other encounters that people have had where they were just minding their freaking business, and the fear didn't happen until they encountered it per se themselves. Like when they saw it, is when the fear
Right.
kicked in. So
Right.
go ahead.
In other words, how do I want to word this? Depending on, in other words, unless you know what color stripes are on your pineal gland, okay, because they're different colors, they're different frequencies. And if you look into the people like the monks and stuff, and they talk about the chakras and all that stuff, right? And they can combine them, okay? It's almost like what they're doing, okay? They use that color or that resonance for what in other words, that's their ability. That's the ability they're born with. You know what I'm saying? But they have a universal for all things.
I know what you're trying to say. I'm going to tell you what I think goes on. And I don't think I've ever discussed this.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I think is going on. I think that inherently, from their origins, when you go back and you read through the Bibles and you read through the books of the giants and you read everything you can about giants, biblically from that standpoint, you come to a conclusion that not only were these giants, not only did they have the ability, extreme size, but they also had the ability to smell the DNA of a human, literally smell human DNA. And I've never disclosed this before to anybody. I think the only person I ever discussed this with is Sunshine. I personally believe the reason why some people have repeated Dogman encounters is because it's something about their DNA in which these animals are able to smell. I know for a fact their sense of smelling is beyond. That's why I'm pushing back on the pineal gland theory, and it could be a combination. But I know for a fact their sense of smell, based on at least 3 encounters, maybe 4, but the 3 encounters, 2 of the 3 I never told, but one I told and I left this out. Their sense of smell is ridiculous.
Yep.
That's how they're able to track people back 20, 30, 40 miles to their houses. The
Yep.
limit of that tracking that I've encountered when talking to people is
Yep.
30 miles. So I think that it's that sense of smell that's left over from
Do you think it's
that,
ancestral?
the sense of
They can
smell.
smell your
I guess you could call
ancestors'
it
DNA
inherited.
within your DNA.
Wait, say that one more time. I'm sorry, I overspoke you. Say that
In
one
other
more
words, see
time.
if my great-great-grandfather ran into one of those things and had a problem. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
over the years, I've been bred down and bred down and bred down, but yet there's a trace of him in me, and that smell gets passed to their family tree. And they go, "Well, son of a bitch, there's that guy's great-great-great-grandson.
I
Let's
can
go
believe that.
harass his ass."
I can definitely believe that. I can definitely believe that may be the case in some
So
instances.
sins of the father can fall upon the son.
Well, spiritually, the sins of the father can fall upon the son and the daughters, and I don't think it's any different when it comes to dealing with these beings. When we're really getting into really, really deep Dogman talk, yes, I would have to agree with you on that. The pineal gland aspect, I mean, maybe. I
I
mean, maybe
know.
because we as human beings, we're all psychic. That's one thing that if you're in tune to it, every last one of us is psychic.
Yep. It just depends how you use your gift, if you exercised it, if you ignored it or accepted it. You know, there's a lot of weird shit in this world.
I don't think your theory is that far fetched. I don't know of any way to qualify that theory though.
I can break it down. If you know, I'm a tough read guy. I really am. But it's like once people start to understand what I'm saying, they go, "Oh, son of a bitch," you know. And I've had that over the years.
No, I clearly understand what you're saying. I'm just saying there's no way to qualify or qualify it. Like, so for example, the only way to know what size the pineal gland of a dog man is to bust his head open, rip his pineal gland out, and see what it is.
Well, put him down and stick him in an MRI machine.
Yeah. So there's no real way of knowing it, but to speculate, I mean, it makes sense. Honestly, it really does make sense. You know what I'm saying? It would
Has
make sense
anybody
that
ever hit one of them things with a flare?
like a road flare, you mean?
No, flare. FLIR.
Oh, you talking about the thermal flare imaging? Hello? Did I lose you?
Yeah. No, I'm here. Like a flare. You know what I'm saying? Its head would resonate so much it would give off a heat source by itself.
The flare, we're talking about thermal imaging technology is what we're talking about, right?
Right. Even that. In other words, even if you went out there with a PK meter or something that reads frequency, a radio frequency generator, you know what I mean? Not a generator, but a receiver. You know what I'm saying? And you could dial in on its frequency.
You know,
almost like a
honestly,
blanket frequency.
I gotta give you something here. So I don't know if you're familiar with the government experiments of controlling human beings via frequencies and actually controlling human beings' emotions.
Yes.
Hey man, I gotta give you something there. You might be on to something, bro. You might be on to something. Again,
you know about the kill switch in the human body?
No, I don't know about no kill
switch. They call it the kill
body.
switch. Read about it. It's a way to shut a human being off and make him inert.
No, why don't
using
you tell
frequencies.
me about it?
All right, 1977, I believe. Oh my God! It started with the harp. A guy goes out into the yard to go fix one of the antenna arrays. This is how they discovered neurological-based weapons on a large scale. They were fucking around with the harp. The guy goes out to fix one of the antenna arrays. Basically, he fell down on the ground, pissed and shit himself, and basically it took his mind and made it like a blank diskette. You know what I'm saying?
And he was
in other words,
he was by the harp experiment doing this, where the
they
antennas
basically they were fucking around with the harp, and he went out to go fix something. Got too close, and basically erased his brain like a like a CD to a magnet.
Yeah, I can.
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
I can definitely believe that.
Okay, that's when they learned about the kill switch. They started looking at certain things. Now, the human body, I break it down. They say the brain's in 3 categories. You know that, right?
Yep.
And that's part of the reason why when people freak out and they go into freeze mode when they see one of these things, okay, because your logical side of your brain, right, your cortex, and then you have your, what is it, sympathetic system or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, basically that's your primitive side. And your primitive side, that's your fight or flight response, okay? Where your rationality tries to kick in, and it's, you know what I mean? It's damned if it do and damned if it don't. You understand what I'm saying by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're trying to compensate. Remember something, when you see a dog on all fours, you go, oh, yeah, doggy, big deal. Ooh, very large doggy. Ooh, that's a little bit bigger and bigger and scarier. But when you see something that's just totally out of the norm and it's warped by your perception of the world, that's when that secondary system kicks in. Not your cortex. Your sympathetics. Oh, my God, I'm tongue-tied tonight. But you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm on the same page with you. Keep going. I'm on the same page with you.
Okay. And your brain tries to chemically rationalize it, and it can't until you snap out of it and come to reality. Okay? The first thing your reality is it either going to be fight, or unless you see them all the time, then you've become attuned to it, and it's just whatever. You know what I'm saying? You deal with it as such and accordingly. You know, either they're friend or foe. You know what I'm saying?
No, I've talked to witnesses who went through that exact same thing. They initially saw him, were shocked for over a year. Their encounters, they were frightened. Then it just got to the point to where I was like, look, I don't give a shit what you are, who you are. I'm going to deal with you. And then there was no more fear.
Right. Yep. You know, I got to admit, I have to throw this at you. But you know, I've been thinking about trying to build a power suit and going after one of these things.
A power suit?
Yeah, like, dude.
Do you have the background to build yourself a power suit? You talking about like an Iron Man suit?
Yeah, I can
build
build
one.
one.
Background to build it?
Virtually indestructible. You can't break my neck. They have 4 titanium pins on tracks. The helmet's recessed with a high-rise collar. And just, you know, hit them with everything. Blinders, sound wave weaponry. Just whack them with everything.
We're going to nickname you Albert Einstein then when you call in. Because if you can build something like that right now, then you the man, dog.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I work with Lightning on the sidelines. That the guy, like, what's his name down in Florida, Bradenton there, Human. He's the editor of the Sun Post. And I've been working on that for about 12 years now.
You said lighting or lightning?
Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to store it to make 115.
And how are you doing that?
It's the same way a lightning ball's made.
Well, you're talking about storing it, right? You have to store that power somewhere. Well, how are you going to store it?
Yeah. You compress it. You put it in an electromagnetic field. Once it's compressed, and then you use an electric iris. How you view it is how you do it.
Yeah, but where is it going to be stored?
It sits in a sphere.
Oh, so you're going to save a light? You want to store a lightning bolt in
basically,
a sphere.
I figured out how nature
100 megawatts of power.
More than that, guy. More than that. And I was figuring out how to make one so I could get multiple strikes at the same time, because I use an invisible ion gate and just keep making what I call the clock dial. And you just keep turning the machine and keep getting your strikes. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And each time you do it. And what I do is, I'll give you a little synopsis how I do this. Lightning bolt comes down, all right? You know what a transistor is?
Absolutely, I know what a transistor is.
Okay, emitter, base, and collector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got the emitter, that's the lightning bolt, okay? I got the collector, okay, the base. The base is a unit coming off the ground with a 4-kilowatt arrest system at the bottom. Then it goes across the field through a metal wire, because I shot a rocket into the sky. Okay,
Okay.
the lightning bolt goes down. I'm using copper from 1941 to 1947 because it's cut with arsenic, not zinc, because the atomic weight's different. When it's going across the field, there's these little metal copper plates. It's disintegrating them on the way by. When it does that, it turns it from white to green. And I slow it down. Then I use the welding mask helmet, the auto darkeners. That's
I'm
what
not
turns
sure what
the
that
machine on. When you weld?
Yeah, you talking about the welding helmet?
Yeah, I took the unit out, and that's what turns the machine on. It beats the lightning bolt back to turn the machine on.
I'll tell you what. I'll
What?
tell you what. If you were able to ever invent anything like that,
Oh, I
get
already been
anywhere.
told, watch my ass.
I'm just telling you, if you were ever able to invent anything like that,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be wise for you to be talking about it publicly at all.
I know that. But you know what? You want to get the best fish in the pond, sometimes you got to use the best bait.
So you have an engineering background?
Huh?
You
Oh,
have
yeah.
an engineering background?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What type?
Oh, yeah. I did a lot of crane work, a lot of welding, fabrication, a little bit of R&D. I built my first laser in, 1999. December of 1999.
No, we're talking about dealing with extremely high voltage here, man.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But what I'm doing is I'm simplifying it. Because you got to understand something. Once I get it in the sphere, right, that lightning bolt now has to obey, because what I did is I introduced metal to it, and it has to obey the laws of that metal. Because I've doped it on a plasma level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because Einstein says, oh, you can't do this. You can't do this with anything nuclear, but it has to be hotter and brighter than any sun. Or hotter, it has to be, what does he say? It has to be hotter. Oh my God, I can't even quote him tonight. Man, I am tongue-tied.
Well, all of today's technology that we deal with is not based on, it's based on Tesla's technology, not on
Right, but I
Einstein's
was using,
technology.
see, I use science like a salad bar. I pick and choose what I like out of it. But I have to obey the laws of it, unless you can prove the laws are different
Well, don't.
or wrong.
Yeah, you definitely got to obey the laws, or else you're gonna die. It sounds to me like what you're trying to do is dangerous. I wish you the best of luck with it, though. And if you are successful with it, and you are able to trap a bolt of lightning, how do you plan on transmitting that power, and what do you
Beam of
plan on
light.
doing with it?
Once I get that, I can use the electric iris, send a beam of light through it. It'll adhere to that green beam of energy.
Well, what are you gonna
Use
do
a
with it?
laser. Huh?
What are you
What
gonna
you
do
do
with
is
the
you
laser?
you use a strike plate, and the strike plate will resonate, and it'll allow you to get energy.
What do you plan on doing with it, though?
Anything I damn well want to power with it. A city, a country, whatever.
Yeah, but it all hinges on you and be able to get you some lightning.
That's easy. You got it right up the street from me. Every year from June to July.
All right, brother, I'm gonna let
Anyways,
you go
no,
because I'm getting ready to close this out.
Just one last thing, though. Just one quick last thing. Yeah, if you can ever catch one of those things, do I call you?
Well, if you can catch you a dog, man, don't call me.
Yeah.
I don't want
Don't
nothing
call
to do
you?
with that
Okay.
shit. Don't call me.
All right.
Call Vic
You know,
Cundiff.
if I
He
could
likes
send
he'll talk
UPS.
to call Vic Cundiff. He'll look at it. Don't call me. I don't want nothing to do with the shit that come along with that.
Send it to friends, right?
Yeah.
All right,
friend.
man.
All right,
Have a
later,
good one.
brother.
Let 'em.
My man right there is wild as fuck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna wrap it up. I am going to. It's going on 10 o'clock. I need to find something to eat. I need to find me something to eat. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the test show for Talking Dog Man. Open lines calls, which you got to expect. I love open lines because you're going to talk to everybody. And we're going to do this pretty consistently Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays moving forward. I don't think I'm going to do it in the night in the dark. I'll probably do it in the daytime. That way I can guarantee that the show will happen, because in the night in the dark there's all kind of stuff that goes on. So we'll probably end up doing it 10 a.m. In the day, 10 to 12 most likely. That gives me time to record and then end my day at a decent time and move on to the things that I need to do in the night in the dark, the things that adults do in the night in the dark, and make it happen. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you guys. I think this was a good show. Um, and I look forward to doing the next one. Um, for the record, everybody was able to hear everything. There was no problem sound wise. Everything came through pretty good. Let's just verify that really quickly before we get out of here. You guys were able to hear everything pretty smoothly. No problems, no echoes, no nothing. Any sound issues? Did you hear any sound issues? So no sound issues? That boy said, and adults watch movies like Hancock. Okay. I hear you, Stimuli. So it sounded good. No problems, no issues, no nothing. Well, I'm going to leave y'all with some creepy music that you've heard before. And we going to get out of here.